Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome back to the Brutal Truth podcast. I'm your host, Karinna Hogan. So, hope you guys are having an amazing week. I am just doing some work as far as I'm doing a 60-day kind of like challenge where I am getting someone ready as my muscle mommy status. Well, fun fact, I am a mom. So, muscle mommy just fits in right with me. Plus, I got awesome gym gear that says muscle mom. As far as fitness, like fitness has always been a huge part of my life. I have started and stopped so many times over the last 20 years. So in 2024, there were some things happen, heartbreak, things like that. Things that kind of like alter you a little bit and shake you up and be like, all right, we got to stop the bullshit. Let's get to work. So I did. And I'm probably in the best physical shape now than I was in my 20s. Of course, in my 20s, I didn't really have to worry about a whole lot. And, I look fly in my 20s, but I look flyer now, now that I have more wisdom, than I did when I was in my 20s. So make sure you guys follow along on TikTok because I drop a lot of good videos as far as what I do as my brand, where I talk about, different unhealthy patterns, breaking generational patterns, healing the father wound, and making sure that you just have the emotional safety to pick emotionally available partners, healthy partners. Make sure you create the life that you want and deserve and make fucking money that you deserve and you want. So those are all the things that I instill in my brand and I help women achieve all these things. Why? Because I've lived through all these things. I have gone through all these things. I have hustled and grind and just been through the trenches when it comes to relationships, partnerships, family, and divorce, and just making money in a business. So I'm sharing all my lived experiences with you, and I'm helping you create a better life with, a better man and more money. So let's get into today's episode. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about emotional regulation will change your entire life. Now, one of the hardest things when it comes to shadow work that I have had to do in my healing process, because nobody is 100% healed. Healing is an ongoing journey. Now, there's different seasons of our lives that we do have to heal from. Let's say if you were in a relationship and all of a sudden that relationship ends. And that is a healing journey that you have to go through. Or if you are healing from, an absentee father because he tries to enter your life after so many years and all that just repressed trauma comes up, then that's another healing journey. Healing is not linear. It looks very scary, very messy, and it's fucked up a lot of times. But it's up to you to be self-aware and to make sure that you recognize patterns and things that don't feel good. You manage your triggers, which we will talk about in a minute. But making sure that you are grounded and you are emotionally neutral and centered and regulated makes all the difference, because you'll make better decisions when it comes to men. You make better decisions when it comes to family. You make better decisions with friends. You make better decisions with just partnerships, networking partnerships, business decisions, things of that sort, when you are just regulated emotionally. Now, I am a Taurus moon. If you know anything about astrology, I am so big on astrology. I love it because a lot of things that I have tapped into and dove into as far as my human design and my birth chart are 1,000% spot on as far as how I am as a person. So I am a Taurus moon. So when it comes to decision making, I have to be emotionally neutral before I execute anything. So community for me is everything. And when I make decisions, I have to be regulated and neutral, not, just executing out of chaos or executing out of reaction or out of spite or out of anger. I have to come to my center and I have to be neutral, and then I execute my decision, because when I am neutral, that's when I make the best decisions. Okay. So that is kind of one example. So a lot of things can dysregulate us when it comes to anything that's emotional. So there's triggers versus reactions. So there are things that could be triggering. Let's say, for example, you see your ex with a new woman and you guys had just broken up 3 months ago. That can be very triggering. Okay. Or you see that ex got married shortly after you guys broke up. That's fucking triggering. Okay. Or you're fresh out of a divorce and you see your ex-husband, all of a sudden he's dating a new side piece. That can be triggering. Or there is, a business opportunity that you presented to somebody. They said no, and then they go with a rival. It can be triggering. Okay. So I'm giving you kind of examples of things that can trigger you. Like I know for me, one of the things that's really triggering is that when I have to do co-parenting exchange and my ex-husband likes to start a fight. That can trigger me, and that almost triggers like a reactive response out of me because he knows exactly where the trigger points are, but it's up to me to make sure that I come back and say, no, he's trying to trigger me. Let me just dial it back. Let me just process before I even do anything else. Okay. But sometimes those triggers can be very loud and it causes a reaction. So, a little example for me is my prior relationship, knowing that he had ended our relationship and I was really hurt because I was very much in love with this person. And then to see 2 months later, he is dating somebody else. Well, that triggered a fucking reaction out of me where I cussed him out. So it did. But it was at the heat of and then I had to dial myself back and say, wait a minute, what is really triggering this response out of me? It's because he left me and I'm just going to work on me and it's just going to be me and the kids and I don't have time for anybody else, but then goes out and starts dating somebody else. Usually when people do that is to fill a void, is because they're unhealed and they haven't dealt with their shit. So that triggered a response out of me and I cussed him out. Okay. I mean, did he respond? No. Did I expect it? No. It's just I wanted to get everything I wanted to say, and that was it. But we have to pull back and we can't react to things that trigger us. Okay. Because usually if it's triggering you, it's because of something in your past that has happened that is unhealed. For example, the reason why that triggered me so much is because my biological dad left. He did. He left and was never a part of my life. So when he left and broke up with me like that, and just up to the end, when the last time I saw him, it was very triggering and it did trigger that reaction. So it has a lot to do. The connection that I made is it's the father wound. Okay. And this is something that I help women on the path of healing the father wound, is that my biological dad was emotionally unavailable. So every man that I have come across and every man that I've chosen is emotionally unavailable, just like him. Okay. And that's where we have to manage the triggers and say, okay, this is triggering this because this is what happened in the past. So you have to give your inner child what she needs as far as healing. Okay. So we can't let our triggers get a response because that never ends up well. Okay. It never does. So we have to find a way to really regulate ourselves to manage the triggers. And first, we have to come back and say, okay, why is this triggering me? What is this related to? And how can I better manage it where I can give my inner child and give myself what I need because this is triggering me? Okay. Now, I'm going to give you some nervous system basics. Now, when it comes to your nervous system, we don't make good decisions if our nervous system is operating out of chaos and just fucking triggers and reactions and you're a fucking hot mess. It never works like that. So whatever it is that you need to regulate your nervous system, whether it's meditation, it's journaling. Gym is my therapy. That's how I regulate my nervous system is I go to the gym and I'm telling you, I lift heavy. Muscle mommy in progress. So going for a walk, listening to music, reading, whatever it is that will regulate your nervous system, especially when you are triggered on something that you saw, on something that you heard, on something that was told to you, whatever it is, we have to start from the basics. So you have to recognize what is triggering you. So you have to be self-aware. That's number one. Okay. You have to be aware of what's triggering you. And then if the second thing is if you offer a response or reaction, how is that going to make you feel? Okay. You have to ask yourself these questions and you have to really just think, okay, is it better to just pull back and pause, or is my reaction going to give a positive response? A lot of times when it comes to triggers and we want to react, we have to stop and pause and think about, okay, is the reaction that I'm going to have, is it going to be in a positive way? Because I can tell you 9 times out of 10, it's not. Okay? So we have to come back and ground ourselves so that we regulate ourselves emotionally. And that starts with nervous system basics. Whatever it is, taking a bath, like any kind of self care, will regulate your nervous system so that you come back and that you can make better decisions. Now, there's a difference between responding and reacting, which I've talked about reacting. Now, responding is when you are calm, when you have paused and taken a moment to think about, okay, why is this triggering me? What is my thought process? And why is this triggering me so much that I want to have a reaction to? Okay. So when we respond calmly and we respond just in a very neutral way. Versus if you react like I did, like I fucking cussed him out, I called him an asshole, I told him to go fuck himself, all this stuff. That is a reaction that triggered, because it was triggering to see him dating somebody else. So we want to make sure that our responses are calm, neutral, indifferent, and making sure that we are regulated in our response and not really reacting, because reacting really doesn't get you anywhere. And it's one of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn, because in life, because of my father wound, I've reacted to so many situations because they were triggering for me. And I've had to learn that, nope, we got to pause. Yes, this is triggering the fuck out of me. And yes, I want to scream right now, but why is this triggering me? What events led up to this being triggering for me? And if I react, is this going to be in a positive way? How does this make me feel? And why do I care? Okay. So sometimes you have to, get yourself into a, frame of mind in asking yourself these questions, whether you journal, you voice note. Like I do a lot of voice noting. Like if something's triggering me, I just let it go on a voice note and then I listen back to it and then I go, okay, this is exactly why this was bothering me. Okay. So those are some basics that you can regulate your nervous system to make sure that when you are emotionally regulated, it changes your life. It makes it better because you make better decisions that way. You pick better partners that way because you're self-aware. You know exactly what red flags are presented if there are. And, a person's character is everything. So people are always going to show you who they are in the beginning because that never changes. Okay. It's up to you to just be more self-aware to notice the pattern. So that is it for today's episode. Make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you follow along on TikTok. Everything will be in the show notes. And hopefully this was very insightful. Send it to somebody that needs to regulate their nervous system as well. So thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I will chat with you guys in the next episode.